I'd like to talk today about one of our biggest shared challenges, a challenge facing Britain, America, and countries and cities across Europe in equal measure. And that's ensuring that the advancement of technology is for the benefit of everyone in society. Technology is disrupting and shifting the way we do everything, the nature of our economies and the types of jobs available, where we live and how we travel, the way we consume news and process information, and vitally, the way we communicate and interact with one another. How we deal with this transformation will be a defining challenge of the 21st century, because it cuts across so many layers of our society, politics, economics, and the general well-being of modern citizens. The onus for change should not just be on tech companies and innovators. One of the biggest problems over the last few years is that politicians and governments have just been passive, sitting on their hands, while the tech revolution has happened around them. There's been a failure to ensure that our economies and our regulatory structures are prepared and relevant. It must ultimately fall to government, working with tech businesses and leaders to ensure that this revolution is not detrimental to our long-term process and progress. Platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube have brought huge benefits to society. They've made it easier for us to stay in touch with those we love, meet like-minded people, and have easier access to information we want. And they've enabled talented people to share their creativity directly with the world. But understandably, there are growing concerns about the way some of the biggest companies on the planet are impacting our lives and the overall well-being of our societies. In some cases, these new platforms have been used to exacerbate, fuel, and deepen the divisions within our communities. The impact is and continues to be profound and should worry democracies around the world. We've already seen evidence of elections and referendums being influenced, a rise in online abuse, misogyny, and religious hatred, fake news spreading misinformation, algorithms blinkering us from different points of view and pushing people to extremes, and terrorists and far-right groups using social media to not only conspire but to radicalize and brainwash others. All of this is dividing and polarizing us rather than uniting us. I know all this too well from personal experience. We simply must do more to protect people online. Social media platforms already have a legal obligation to remove content that breaks local laws. But this isn't always happening or happening quickly enough. Facebook, Twitter, and other platforms are finally starting to react to the criticisms and are developing technology to make sure the reporting process becomes quicker and more effective, and I welcome this. But with the skills and resources these companies have at their disposal, I believe it's possible to go further and faster. What we need to see is a stronger duty of care so that social media platforms can live up to their promises to be places that connect, unify, and democratize the sharing of information, and be places where everyone feels welcome and valued. If this doesn't happen, then more countries will start to follow or go further than what Germany has done. The German government have changed the law so that social media companies face hefty fines if they fail to quickly remove hate speech, fake news, and illegal material. At its best, the sharing economy can make it easier for people to sell their skills, their time, and even their home in a way that suits them at a fair price. But at its worst, it can drive down pay, workers' rights, and safety standards. If the sharing economy is real, it should be as liberating for the worker or supplier as it is for the consumer. Yes, innovative new companies are providing fantastic services to people around the world and have created tens of thousands of new jobs in the process. But without prudent regulation and oversight, this new way of doing business risks being used as cover to break up decades of established and hard-fought rights. We must now ask whether it's acceptable for platforms in the quick pursuit for market share to be allowed to set a price which is too low to adequately reward workers, while at the same time incentivizing people to work just like full-time employees. Companies that behave in this way are not genuine peer-to-peer platforms, they're simply companies, service providers or retailers with an app. There's nothing wrong with this, but we can't confuse matters by thinking that because a business is smart, disruptive, popular even, and has a really neat app, it somehow has a right to behave in a different regulatory status to its competitors. Ultimately, there must be greater responsibility taken by some tech companies for the impact they're having on the world. And crucially, no business or industry should ever consider itself above the local rules or laws set by democratic processes. In London, we've been clear with Uber and other companies that everyone, no matter how big, must play by the rules, no exceptions. Now, I appreciate that some of these companies can afford to spend a fortune on an array of lawyers and PR experts, and they do. However, in the long run, attempts to subvert, bypass, or turn the public against proper regulation doesn't do anyone any favours. In this fast-paced change, city government can cope better with digital disruption, turning technological upheavals to our advantage. This is my ambition as the Mayor of London, and I encourage other mayors and great cities to join me in this mission. In London, we're harnessing the power of new technology to transform lives. We're aiming to make London a global byword for smart cities with data, connectivity and innovation supporting our infrastructure and services. We're getting much more involved in using tech to provide public services to the citizens we represent. We're exploring what responsible technology means, what we can do from City Hall, and how we can encourage people and companies based in our city to behave in positive ways. We're utilising data to transform the way public services are delivered, making them more accessible, efficient and responsive. We're looking at London's strengths in AI and automation, finding the best ways to take advantage of the opportunities it could bring, whilst also investing in education to ensure Londoners have the digital skills they need for the jobs of tomorrow. We've set up an online hate crime hub, the first of its kind in Europe, to work with social media companies. We're setting up public competition to fund London innovation towards solving some of the big social challenges that we face. And crucially, we're breaking down the barriers that still exist for girls and women to reach their potential, not only in the tech sector, but in every part of our society. 2018 is a pivotal year for London as we mark the centenary of women winning the right to vote in the UK. And as a proud feminist, I've launched a campaign, Behind Every Great City. This campaign is about celebrating how far we've come, celebrating how it's the achievements and contributions of women from all walks of life that make cities like London so great, and understanding and championing the fact that behind every great city is equality, opportunity and progress. But we're also using this moment to acknowledge how far we still have to go for full gender equality. My ambition is to make London the most inclusive city in the world, a place where everyone, no matter their gender, background, race or religion, has the opportunities to get on in life. An example is the work we're doing with my new digital skills programme. This new initiative aims to arm young Londoners, particularly women and those from minority communities, with the skills they need to access the jobs of the future. And my message today to other cities and to global tech leaders is that collectively we must do more to champion greater inclusivity within the tech community. It's not only the right thing to do, evidence shows it's good for our economies too. Our societies and global communities, which are becoming even more connected and interdependent, will be moulded in the crucible of this fourth industrial revolution. We shouldn't see this through the prism of a threat to jobs and our social fabric. We should see the true threat as the failure of tech companies to appreciate the responsibility they have to wider society and the failure of policymakers to adapt. Ladies and gentlemen, the good news is that we're only just at the beginning of this journey. And if the companies and politicians at all levels of government can work together to shape the future of tech, then I remain optimistic that we can utilise technology to create fairer, more united cities and countries, and optimistic that we can work together to instil hope for a better, more inclusive future for us all. Thank you very much.